This unit we're going to look at web design, the career, and you'll have a unit project. But we're going to start off with looking at the professional team approach. Your project for this unit you'll be doing by yourself, but I just wanted to get you familiar with how web design can be done if you were to do it as a business or if you worked for a big company. Alright, so with this, we're going to look at web design as a career, and then we're going to look at how it works with a team. Guiding questions. Why is it necessary for designers to have websites? List the skills important for web designers to process. Should all websites be developed using a team approach? How much does it cost to create a website? How might price ranges for different types of websites be established? Describe factors contributing to job security in web design, and the salary range for web designers. Alright, web design as a career. Some of you may not be interested in it right now, but it may be something that some of you are interested, or it may be something that may pop up in the future. If you want to be a web designer, you need to stay on top of all the changing technology in the field, and it's really changing really quick now with the explosion of smartphones and tablets. So you got to keep that in mind. Like I said, new technologies are changing the way web design is done, and HTML5 is a new technology too that's affecting it. Design standards are changing with HTML5, and so you always need to keep on track of that and on top of it if you're going to be a web designer. You need to be familiar with HTML. I'm going to put HTML5 as well. JavaScript, and you need to have an understanding of how to create web graphics and the different file types. You also need to be proficient in the graphic design software, such as Microsoft Design, or most people use Photoshop these days. Then you also need to be familiar with Expression Web, or the Adobe equivalent would be Adobe Dreamweaver for web design. The team approach. You need more than one person to create a big website. So companies that do design and that's the way they make their money, they always have teams. They're good for strategic planning. Then you can have somebody just focus on graphic design, and then you have somebody just focus on the programming, and somebody look at all the copywriting, and somebody market it, and then people that just do search engine optimization. That's a big one, where if you design a website for a company, you want to be able to tell them how you're going to make their company show the top of the searches. Typically in a team, you have a project manager, and they provide the organization, they arrange interviews, and they make sure everybody's involved and on task. You have a documenter that creates actual documents, and you have a designer who is responsible for the page design. Now, one thing, interviews, if you're designing for a customer, you better make sure that you interview them to find out their needs. And same with documents. There's a lot of documents that go into creating a web page if you're going to do it for money. You have to have an interview document, you have to have all these different kind of documents that the client has to sign, contracts and all that stuff. And you have to make sure that they're legally binding as well. So again, the project manager is basically the supervisor, and we can continue. The documenter creates all the documents. They take notes during the meetings, they transcribe them, and they say work in a designated area. And the designer, the ultimate for creating the design, that once all parties have been negotiated. So the design process, remember, you're designing a web page for a client, then it has to make sure that you meet those clients' needs. For a website, if you do it as a team, it could cost anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000, um, and depending on what goes into the site. And so, web design can be a pretty lucrative business if you're really good at it, and you can make quite a bit of money. How much do designers get paid? Here's a web strategist, and they might be the owner level person offering strategic guidance, and they look at $80,000 a year. You may have the senior producer, and these numbers are kind of old, and I'll show you some new numbers, but they're close. 54,000. You could have the creative director making $80,000 a year, art director making $61,000, web designer making $48,000, web developers $60,000, the copywriter is $65,000. And so let's look at the new. If you go to this link here, it leads you to a great site. And we talked about the art director right here. So if we look at the art director, if we scroll down, you can find the art director. They make, let's do art director. It wasn't reported in 2011, but in 2012 they made about $70,000 a year. If I scroll down and go to, let's see, web developer, they're making $60,000, and it also depends on what part of the country you live into. So if you look at the difference here, you can get more in Seattle than you would in Austin. The premium medium annual salary earned by art director in New York is over the national median. The 48% of the studios have fewer than 10 employees. Most of the design professionals are females, and 14% identify them as ethnic minorities. So you can see they're pretty highly mobile. The median number of years somebody stays at one company is 3. 66% are the freelancers. That means that they kind of do it on their own. They work with different companies. And 10 to 19 years level experience is in line with the highest compensation. This is a cool website to look at. If you click up here, it takes you to their actual website, and this is all for designers. They have wide design, and this is for web design and graphic designs, and they have a bunch of cool tools and resources. If you wanted to look, find a design job, so you can see what kind of jobs are out there. You can look for internships. If you just scroll down, you can see all these jobs that are available. I'm sure you can do a little more search, but if you're interested, it would be a good web page for you to look at, just so you have an idea of what it requires, so then you can figure out what education you need to get one of these jobs. Job security. Is there job security in web design? Yes, there is. The internet, the growth of the internet is just, oops, let me go back. The internet, the growth ensures job security of web designers. It is always changing. And one of the new industries is just developing apps for the smartphones and tablets now. Sometimes you get the outsourcing, which means it's a little cheaper labor, and you must be constantly learning and looking ahead to prepare for the future. You want to make sure that if you're going to be a web designer, that you're always on top of the new technology so you don't get left behind. Alright, so web design career, it can be fun. It can be very flexible. And you can work from home a lot of times. and it can be secure. You can just look around the Colorado Springs business web pages, and you can see some of them are really good, and then some of them aren't so good. And maybe if you're interested, when you learn more about web design, you could go to these businesses and offer to them to build a web page for a price. And then remember the team role members. You have a project manager, documenter, and designer. Again, the project for this unit you're going to be doing on yourself, but I wanted to expose you of the different roles for a team member if you're ever to work with a web design company or do it as a group project type thing. And that's it for this lesson.